Hey everybody, we're going to be going over if and else if statements and all that good stuff today. So here we go. We're going to do a walkthrough of the 4.1.1. All right, so using else statements. So here we go. So last time we learned if statements, right? If this condition is met, do this thing. So now we're going to be learning else. And that's basically like if you want to make the decision between one or something else. Like if this, do that thing, otherwise do this other thing. Okay, so here we have on mouse press, if x is less than 200, draw this cyan circle, else draw a gold circle, right? So we're basically saying, okay, whenever you press the mouse, if x is less than 200, make a cyan circle, which is this weird blue color. Okay, and then from there we go if it's otherwise, right? If it's not less than 200, so if it's somewhere on the right-hand side, draw a gold circle. And that's exactly what we get. All right. If we wanted to change it, maybe I wanted this to be like 300. I only want it to be like way over here on the right-hand side, right? This would be blue all the way up to where x is 300. So it's just going to be on this little like last quarter. Okay, but yeah, back to what it originally was. Using an else if. So you can see for here, it's basically between two choices. If the circle is less than 200, do this thing. If it's not, do this thing, right? What if we have multiple things that we want to check on, right? It's not just a choice between two different options. Maybe there's a bunch of different choices. Well, if that's the case, then we're going to use an else if statement. And in Python, we write that as ELIF, else if. Okay, so if you take a look here, we have, all right, every time you press the mouse, if x is less than 100, that's the x of where your mouse press was, right? Remember, every time we press the mouse, we're giving the computer two pieces of information. We're giving it the x coordinate of where the mouse was pressed, and we're giving it the y coordinate of where the mouse was pressed, okay? So if that x coordinate of the mouse is less than 100, draw a blue circle. Else if the x is less than 300, draw a black circle. Okay? Otherwise, draw a gold circle. So what this is saying is if it's less than 100, draw blue. If it's less than 300, draw black. Okay? And you might be thinking, well, anything less than 100 or anything less than 300, like the blue one counts for that as well. As soon as it gets here, if it says, oh, x is less than 100, it's going to run this and get out of it, right? So only whenever it finally makes its yes decision, it's going to get out of that if or else statement, okay? So if it does this one, it runs it, it gets out, okay? If that one doesn't work, it moves on to the next one. It says, okay, else if, draw a black circle. If that one doesn't work, if this condition's not met, then it moves to the else, which means like anything else. Otherwise, draw a gold circle, right? So that means anything right here, we got blue, cyan. Okay, anything in the middle, if it's less than 300, we got a empty circle. And if it's bigger than 300, we're going to get a gold circle. Cool. All right. ELIF, E-L-I-F is short form of saying else if. This is similar to what we do in real life if we have more than two choices. For example, if we were just going to read this right here, this would be like saying, all right, if it's snowing, bring a jacket. Or else, if it's raining, bring an umbrella. Otherwise, wear sunglasses, right? So we got three different choices there, so we would use an else if statement. Let's see, back to here, checkpoint 1. What happens in the previous example if we used if instead of else if? I don't know. So if we change that to an if statement, if I click less than 100, so now there are two if statements. So if this is met, it does that one. If this is met, it also does this one. That's the big thing that the else if gives us. It's only going to make one of those decisions. So you can tell here it drew a cyan circle as well as an empty circle with a black border. So there's actually those two, it's running both these little commands right there. Let's see, cyan circles are drawn with the black ring. Spectacular, it says. Using more than one else if. So if we're looking at this, I want to read it first, right? Whenever a mouse is pressed, if x is less than 100, draw a blue circle, cyan circle. Else if x is less than 200, draw a plum circle, which is kind of purpley. Else if less than 300. So now we're just giving it more decisions. So every time I have another decision that I want it to choose between, I give just another else if statement, right? So this is 4 possible colors that we can draw a circle with. So let's see. If it's less than 100, it should be a cyan, so kind of blue. The next one should be plum, kind of purpley. Teal, if I remember right, is kind of green-ish, like a dark greenish blue. And gold, there you go. Okay. Another example. So every time I press a mouse, if the x is less than 200, draw a cyan circle. Else if y is less than 200. So this is basically saying if your mouse press is on the left half of the canvas, draw a cyan circle. If the y coordinate is on the top half, so now we're talking y coordinates of your canvas, draw a black border. So here we go. All right, left half. So it runs this, immediately gets out of it. Right? Over here. Okay, it was not in the left half anymore, but it was in the top half, so it makes the black one. Okay, over here. Now if I'm down below, it is still on the left half, so this would be true. So it draws a cyan circle. And then if I click down here, in the last quadrant, it's on the right side, so this is not met. But it's on the bottom, so this is not met either, so nothing's going to happen. So I'm clicking right here, nothing happens. Interesting. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Why do we only get black rings on the top right and not the top left? Because it runs through this top to bottom. So as soon as this one condition is met, it runs that code that we told it to do, and then it gets out of your if statement. Okay. Let's see. Run the code. Short answer. That should be basically what it says. Checkpoint 2. In the previous example, which of the 4 squares changes behavior if we use an if instead of else if? So let's take a guess, and then we'll run it and check. Okay. Remember, if I just have if statements, it's going to check every single one of these individually, right? So it's going to say, is x less than 200? Do this. And then it's also going to check, is y less than 200? Then do this, right? When we had else if, it would only choose between one of those decisions and then get out of it. If I have multiple if statements, it's going to choose and possibly do every single one of those things. So let's see, when it's less than 200, draw a cyan circle. When it's less than y is less than 200, draw a black circle. So up here, I'm on the left-hand side, so I'm going to draw a blue circle, and I'm in the top half, so it's probably going to be a cyan circle with a black border right here. Okay? And then over here, I'm on the right half, so this is not met anymore, so that's not good. But it will be on the top half, so there we go. Now left half, bottom half, so it's only going to be blue, right? And then nothing right there still. So let's see. Top left, right there. Boom. All right. So on the next one, we'll be going through some of the exercises, and then we'll get after it.